Okay, so today we're going to focus on doing the epoxy for the rolling tray sets. So this is the epoxy that we will be using today, and this comes from Hobby Lobby. You can get it from any crafting store. So first thing first, we're going to show you how you will mix your epoxy. There's two sides of the mix. And when it comes to the mixing, the most important part is you want to be sure that you pour bottle A and bottle B the same exact amount into each cup. So to get that, I use some electric tape and I just sit it down and I take my cup and I just press it against the marker and turn. And I'll do this to both cups so I can get a precise line so I know where I'm pouring at. And with this measurement, I usually do it for 2 rolling tray sets. We're just doing 1 today, so you'll have more than enough. All right. So we're gonna pour A first. A is the thicker side. I'm gonna stop right at the line. Same exact thing with bottle B. Okay, and since B is not as thick as A, we're going to pour it into the cup B. And when you pour that, you want to make sure you scrape the cup out. You want to get all that you can. You're gonna go ahead and stir. When you stir, you're going to see that it becomes cloudy. And you want to just keep stirring until it's completely clear. That's when you'll know you're done and it's ready. As you can see, this is more than enough epoxy for 1 set. Actually wasting this epoxy because we're only doing 1 set today, but that's okay. Alright, just a little bit more. I'm gonna scrape the sides. And I know other people, they say to stir slowly so you don't get any bubbles in your epoxy. But even with the bubbles, especially when you put the glitter in, it does not at all hurt the tray set. The tray set is still going to come out smooth. So I don't know if that's a thing for tumblers, but as far as the tray set goes, those bubbles do not matter. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pour our glitter in. I don't really have any measurements for this. I just pour whatever I feel comfortable with. You'll stir and then you can add more if need be. Okay, I'm just going to do just a little bit more. Make sure you scrape the side. Okay. I want a little bit more. Alright, I don't think I'm going to add any more after this. I just want it really glittery. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Alright, I can take this glitter, put it to the side. Let's come out of here. Alright, so I'm going to rearrange some things real fast. Just put this to the side. Alright. So this is your ashtray. We're going to do our ashtray, the lid to the jar, and the lighter first. And then we'll do the tray. Actually, let's see. Before you epoxy, you want to put everything where you want it for when it's drying, because you don't want to move it while it's drying. So you want to get it where you want it now, so you don't have to worry about it later. I think I'm going to use my lighter. Actually. Okay. So what I have my things on is actually a cup, a foam cup from Fountain Drinks that I just cut the bottom of to use. And this is actually, I actually hold these and I spray paint them outside and then let them dry and everything. So that is what I use. Okay. With this, we're just going to go ahead. Let me see. Pour it in there. And as you can see, the paint is messed up on the inside, but with that glitter being so thick, you can't even tell. I'm gonna pour that in there, and then we're just gonna turn and cover. There we go. I apologize if I'm too low. I'm getting over a cold. Just want to spread that glitter out. And when you have the bottom of your ashtray, I missed the spot. When you have the bottom of your ashtray completely covered, and if you turn, you can see the glare, and you'll be able to see if you missed the spot or not from that glare. So once you have the bottom covered, you can go ahead and pour it down more. Just tilt the ashtray more so you can cover the sides or the inside of your ashtray. You want to hold it over your paper just in case it does drip. Pour just a little more, then I'm going to go ahead and spread it out with my finger. Hold it over the cup actually. Alright, so this is going to be a little awkward for me because I'm not left-handed, but hey, we'll make it work. So we're just going to spread it around the edges. I'm going to go ahead and wipe here, spread it around. Once again, as you turn it and tilt it, you'll be able to see if you missed anything from the glare. Okay. I'm going to pour a little more because I like my bottom to be thick, especially with that mess up I have in there. So it just covers everything. Easier if I stand up. Alright. So as you sit it flat, it is spread out from to the bottom. And then, I don't know if you can tell. See a little white line in there? It'll cover that up. Get that set. Put that off to the side a little bit. I'm actually gonna go ahead. Notice I don't like moving it once it's start drying process, but that's okay. We're gonna do the same thing with the lid now. can tell the epoxy is moving kind of fast, so you just got to pay attention and watch it. And just move it along, kind of guide it to spread around the top of the lid so it covers all of it. And I always try to get it close to the edge as possible before I turn it in the other direction. You do want it to cover the edges as well. Alright, so once you get done covering the edges, you can let it drizzle down the side, and you're going to just spread it around. You want the sides glittered as well. Keep doing the same thing, tilt it. If need be, you could always just dip your finger in the glitter and wipe the sides yourself instead of letting it drizzle. I'm gonna put a little bit more glitter on the top. I'm seeing some spots that I missed. Same thing, just tilt it, cover the entire surface. I'm gonna drop that. All right. The lid's kind of coming up. Okay, same exact thing. Just put that off to the side now. We're gonna let that dry. All right, for your lighter. For your lighter, it will be a dip process for the whole thing. So, things that you want to watch for. So if you look very closely, there's a line here at the top. So this part of the line where the clicker is at, we're not going to go above that line. Over here is really up to you if you want to go above the line or not. I used to do the blue here, but we would not go. We would only do the blue here and around, but we would not go past up here. You don't want to bother this at all. You don't want to bother the clicker. So with the epoxy, you do not want to get it too close to this line, because if you do and the epoxy gets in there, it will not work. Same thing with up here. You don't want to get the epoxy in there, because if you get inside, the lighter will no longer work. So if you're just starting out, I would just stick to down here underneath this line. But like I said, we're gonna do a dip, so we're just gonna literally just roll it on there with our fingers. So it's really up to you how you want to do that. So let's go ahead and do that now. I try to pull my glove up as tight as possible. Make it easier. Alright. Just move this up just a little bit. No, that's me. Just rubbing the glitter all over the lighter. I want to do this process very slowly. So, okay, with the epoxy mix as well, because mine's starting to get warm, so that just reminded me. It is only good for about 30 minutes after you mix it. After that, it will start to harden and you won't be able to spread it out as we're doing. So you have about 30 minutes until it starts to set. I think that's good. Okay, so with the lighter, I'm gonna set it here. I'm gonna prop it up, and with the lighter, you want to watch it because it'll all run this way, and it'll drizzle down here. So you're gonna periodically turn it over like this. So, eye on that lighter. Let's start it this way. Alright. It's back a little. Now we're going to go ahead with our tray. I think we will go ahead and do the top first. So, tray, you're going to go ahead and just pour it on there. I'm going to change my gloves because they have glitter all over them, and I don't want to get glitter on the bottom of the tray just yet because I don't want it to stick to the paper while it's drying. I don't want the bottom to stick to the paper while it's drying. So just put some fresh dry gloves on, maybe. Okay, so same thing, same process. We're just going to pick it up and roll it around. Depending on how thick it is, you might want to just go ahead and use your finger, spread it out with your finger, especially because mine is starting to get warm, so I don't want it to start hardening too fast and it's not spread out where I want it. But as you can see, we're making lines with our fingers. That will not, once it's dry and hardens, you will not be able to see that. As it says, it'll spread itself out. It'll be nice and smooth. As long as everything is covered, it will be smooth. Just keep doing that all the way around. Right now I'm doing the inside, the side of the tray. And then once we get the sides done, we do the outer ring, or the outer area, whatever you want to call it, of the tray. Alright, check on your lighter. You can see. Oh, can you see that? Yeah, so just gonna turn it over. See what you want. Just rub it down. There. And like I said, you'll periodically check on that and keep flipping it over until it starts to harden. Once it starts to harden, it will not spread. Alright, pour some more glitter on the tray. I honestly just like putting the glitter on there and just letting it run. Just looks so pretty to me. So right now I'm just tilting it and looking at the glare to see if there's any spots that I missed. So you're want to look for any dry areas. Don't worry about if it's even or if you can see a streak or anything like that from your finger. Just make sure there's no areas that is dry. Okay. So we're going to take this, I'm just going to rub the edges down. And I'll lay it down for that. So you're going to just hold it with one hand so it doesn't move. With your other hand, just rub the edges. Dry hand, wipe around the edges. And if you want, you could always just do the same thing we did with the lighter. That's easier for you. Whatever works for you. Just gonna go over it. Alright, looks good. Take your lighter. I'll pour some more into here. Just want to make sure that line is completely covered. So with any mistakes that you make, things like that, the paint had chipped a little bit. So once it starts to harden, you want to go ahead and pour some more epoxy over it. So it's basically like doing 2 layers without having to let the first layer completely dry. Now it's completely covered. You can't even see any white. Oh yeah, so go ahead and let that sit and let that dry.
So you cut some of them open.
Alrighty. Let's see here. Just want to check over everything, see if you see any dry spots. You just go ahead and go over it.
Customer?
Yeah.
Are you making a lighter for somebody that smokes? No? Or something?
Might not be somebody who smokes. They could use it for candles, to light their candles like we do. Alright, so I'm going to let this sit overnight so it's completely dry, and then we will go ahead and add our vinyl on and our second layer of, oh actually no, we're not going to do that. So we're going to let this completely dry, and then we will do glitter epoxy on the outside of the ashtray and the bottom of the tray, and then once that is dry, then we'll add vinyl and do the final seal of the clear epoxy, clear coated epoxy. Alrighty. Okay, so our first layer of epoxy with the glitter is dry, as you can see. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll take this lighter, move it up to the side, and we're gonna now use this for the tray. And then we're also gonna be doing the outside of the ashtray. So we're only doing the bottom of the tray and the outside of the ashtray this time. Alright, so we're going to do our epoxy. So this is the tape we used yesterday. So all I did was take this pencil and I made a line on the pencil halfway where the tape is at. So now we're going to put that into the cup and we're going to mark our cup that way. So we don't use as much epoxy as we did before. I dropped my cup, just a second. Alright, sorry my chair is so squeaky and loud. Okay, so we're going to put pencil in here and we're just going to mark it. Alright, now we have our line. Alright, and I've already marked this one. So we're going to go ahead and make our epoxy mix again. Again, same exact thing. Okay. So remember, we're just going to stir it until it's clear, and then we're going to add the glitter in. Alright, so it's clear. Go ahead and add the glitter in now. And I let the set sit for a total of 7 hours to dry. I just let it sit overnight. Okay, scraping the sides, getting all that glitter. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and begin. Okay. So we're gonna do our ashtray first. Let's see. I'm gonna move the tray up here for right now. So it's the same exact process. We're gonna pour the epoxy, tilt and spread it around, and then we're gonna let it drizzle down inside as we wipe it. I love the way that looks. And see, so right here, if there's any mistakes, like say maybe the paint started chipping or any overspray or anything like that, put it over the glitter. It'll cover it up because the glitter is so thick. So that's good. That's how you want it. Let's spread it very fast. Okay, so we're gonna have to put it on our cup here. Always rub the bottom, well technically the top, but in this light, the bottom of the ashtray. So with the ashtray, when you do the outside, it's just like the lighter. Periodically, you're gonna have to watch it and you see it'll drip. So every so often, you're gonna have to take it and wipe it so it doesn't dry like that. And you're gonna just keep doing that until it begins to harden, and then it will no longer drip. So you just want to keep an eye on that. I do the outside of my ashtray. That's like the messiest part for me. It drips everywhere. But yeah, so now we're just turning and seeing if we need to go over any spots. Letting the glitter run. You can make sure everything is covered. So when you do the glitter trays, your paint job does not have to be perfect because the glitter will cover it up. And say for instance, if you did you put the glitter epoxy over and for whatever reason you still can see your primer paint, or you still can see any mistakes you made, all you would do is wait till it dried and then do another layer of the glitter. Or you can just, if you have leftover glitter once you're done, you can wait till it begins to harden and then pour more glitter over it. Because it won't be as, it'll be thicker because it's starting to harden. And so it'll be easy to cover up anything you need to cover up. We're gonna put this here. And like I said, we're just gonna watch it and we're gonna watch for drips. And when the time comes, we will wipe that down. I'm gonna change my gloves so we can do the tray. We're gonna put this here. You see there's glitter everywhere. Alright. I'm gonna make sure it's completely over the paper. Alright, so as you can see, it's starting to drip. You see it's dripping. So you're gonna just wipe with your finger. You're gonna have to do that like every other minute, or every minute actually. Just like I said, just until it hardens up. I'm just gonna go ahead and spread this with my finger to make it go faster. So if you're scared of epoxy, I feel like rolling tray sets is the easiest way to help you get comfortable with it, because you have to epoxy so many different times and so many different things. So just one set alone helped me get more comfortable with epoxy. And I do feel like people make it sound harder than what it is. Now, I haven't done a tumbler yet, so I know they say tumblers, they make it seem like epoxying the tumbler is extremely hard, but I have done mugs. I've epoxied mugs, I've epoxied vases, and the same exact concept with the spinning, the cup spinner. And like I said, I don't find it hard at all. I'll just wipe it to the side and wipe down the sides. I'm just gonna turn this so I can see the other side. So as the epoxy sets, it will spread, so it'll start running down the side on its own. I'm just gonna pick it up and tilt it. I'm gonna see if I missed any spots. Alright, once again, watch your ashtray. It's dripping. Pinky. So when it dries, you want to make sure the ashtray is not touching the cup. Go over our tray. I'm kind of waiting for the epoxy to warm up a little bit. So I have a white spot here, and then I have another white spot right there. So once it starts to harden, then I'll just go over that spot, and then I'll cover that up. And that, everything is looking good. Go ahead and wait for it to dry, and then we will go ahead and add the vinyl. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what happens when you're done with the seal and your epoxy. Remember, we had it upside down. I told you it may drip. So we have some spots now from the drip. We have one here, then we have a small one here. So we're going to talk about how we get rid of that. So I'm going to take a nail filer, and we're going to file that down. Same thing over here. So when we go over with the epoxy, it'll take that, it'll make it back clear, so you won't be able to see that. I'm gonna have to do the same thing with my lighter, because it has some drips on there as well. I just want to get it as smooth as possible. Alright. So, what it will look like. Alright. So this time we're going to do the epoxy again, but we're going to do a clear coat. We are not going to use glitter. So the top of the jar, that is it's optional. You don't have to necessarily seal this, because they don't need to scrape or anything like that over this vinyl. So that's up to you if you want to seal that. Same thing with the outside of the ashtray, that's also up to you. But we will for sure have to seal the inside of the ashtray and then over the vinyl, because you want this as smooth as possible. So you cannot have how you could fill the vinyl or the picture or whatever you end up putting on your tray. Make sure it's cleaned off. All right. Okay, so nothing's different here, same process. So I know there's a lot of epoxy in this video, but that is the whole point. I just want you guys to get comfortable with doing epoxy, because like I said, I know everybody makes it sound so intimidating, but I promise you it is not that bad. Like I said, and this is the perfect thing to practice epoxy on, because you do have to do it so many times. But that is the whole point of this video, so. Alright, go ahead and stir. Alright, we're about done. Wait another 30-45 seconds. Alright, so I am actually going to start with our lighter. Just that way we can keep an eye on it and turn it as we are doing the rest of the set. Alrighty. So I'm gonna do it actually with the stick this time, and I'm gonna do it over the ashtray. So now, as you can see, when you put that clear on there, it takes away that white dust. So it's all good. If you are going to seal your vinyl on your lighter, top the lid of your jar and the outside of your ashtray, you want to make sure you do a decent, a thick coat, a thick enough coat, so you don't fill the vinyl, because that is the whole point of sealing it, so it's a smooth fill. Got a little bit here. Remember, keep an eye, watch out for that clicker. Go ahead and let it start sitting. We're gonna go ahead and do our ashtray next. Same exact process. The only difference is there is no glitter in this epoxy. Everything is exactly the same.
Within minutes, your new mattress will take shape. Now it's time to relax. Easy, affordable, and ready for relaxation.
So as you can see, it's nice and smooth and clear. Remember what I said, a lot of people say you want to watch for bubbles and to stir slowly when you do your epoxy. But for this at least, it doesn't have a negative effect. So like I said, I do the same thing with my mugs and vases and my rolling tray set. So it may be different for tumblers, I'm not sure. But alright. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the outside of mine. Outside always gets messy. And once you do the outside of the ashtray, it's going to be the same. You're going to watch for drips, and you're going to have to rub the bottom of it every so often. Like I said, the outside of the ashtray is really optional. I seal it. I like sealing wherever there's vinyl at, so. Technically, you don't have to. If you don't seal it, I would definitely make sure you use permanent vinyl. Another thing, I don't always use permanent vinyl either, so if you use removable vinyl, you would definitely make sure you seal it. So as I said previously, your epoxy is good for about 30 minutes after you stir it. So depending on how fast you move, you can always wait, stir it, and then you can wait about 10-15 minutes before you start applying it, just so it has time to set and start hardening, and then it won't. You see how runny it is right now? Then it won't be as runny if you do that.
All that drama, you keep stressing me, baby.
You bring the drama to yourself.
You know what? Keep all that. All that drama, you just keep that to yourself.
Go ahead then.
So that's just a tip, especially when you're first starting out, because it can be a lot trying to keep it with all the drips and moving on to the next piece that needs to be epoxy.
Yo, Bob, come here. That's my real number 2.
Right?
Nah, that's my direct.
Okay. Just keep your eye on the drips. I'm gonna go ahead and do my lid, and then we'll do the tray. With the lid, I'm not going to do the sides over. I'm just going to do the top where the vinyl is at. Might have to walk away real fast. Baby is starting to wake up. Just want to check the glare and make sure there's no dry spots. It looks good to me. So we're going to just rearrange some things here so I can have the tray closer to the camera. Back. So we have the spots that we filed down. So usually I wouldn't go around the edges. I would just go over the vinyl or the picture on the tray, but since we filed that down, we will have to go over the edges. And I pour all my epoxy so that way it's nice and thick. And I don't have to worry about anything as far as if it's smooth or not. And then we'll just go over it. Okay. Alrighty. So it's easier. The more epoxy you have, it's easier and faster. I'm gonna say easier, but it's faster, a lot faster to cover that center and be done with it. Because like I said, the final seal, I usually don't do my edges. The only time I do my edges is when I have a mess up I need to fix. Other than that, I usually don't do the edges. Because it's already sealed from when we did the last, or from when we did the glitter epoxy. So there's nothing really to seal. Alright. Now I'm just gonna rub down the edges.
Hi everybody, this is Teacher Hatfield. I wanted to tell you a little story about a not so long ago conversation I had with Nike co-founder Phil Knight. I had heard that Phil had been walking up to 8 miles a day, so I commented on that. Well, it's a very simple conversation. I felt
Okay.
insulted. I was running,
So
not very fast. In fact, I was running slow.
again, you're gonna keep an eye on your lighter.
Set me off. Like boom, just the light bulb went off.
Watch
in
for
my head.
drips.
Just a proverbial, like, idea. I wanted to design a shoe.
Need be, you can always rub it down.
Also for runners all over the world. So this is a shoe design for all of those cruisers out there in the world. When Tinker says I designed a shoe for you, I don't know if it was by accident or on purpose, but he really did. I thought it was kind of a crazy idea at first, but found that I really liked the shoe. Feet are like fingerprints. Everybody's different. There needs to be a shoe for the slower runner, and that's me. It comes down in almost all shoes, weight, cushioning, and comfort. This has got them all. It's a little softer, it's a little thicker. There's a little bit of movement designed into this to sort of suggest that the shoe itself helps you move through the natural motion of very, very slow running. Really stretched out, got really good.
Alright, so once again, we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. And then when we get done drying that, we will be completely done with our rolling tray set. Alright. Alright, so this is what it should look like when you are done.